Hello everybody and welcome to HawkeyeFX with your host Marcus Toombs, and this is my weekly review on the 10th of July 2017. So let's start with a recap from 2 weeks ago on the 26th of June. You can see here it was an easy call because we had vertical lines coming down and then the pound and the euro coming up, so we were in some nice strong trend runs. Last week the call was for continued yen weakness as this was coming down, continued pound strength and euro strength here, but there was an air of caution in those calls because we were coming to the end of the trend runs as this comes to overbought and oversold territory. Now what you can see happened through the week last week was that we had the pound turning over here, the euro turning down, the Aussie turning down, the US dollar turning up, and now the yen also turning up from very low in the charts. This tends to cause choppy trading conditions in our charts, and we see lots of head and shoulder patterns as we transition from an uptrend to a downtrend or vice versa. Okay, before we go ahead and look at the charts, let's look at the tier 1 data releases this week. The main one, as you will see here, is the Bank of Canada interest rate decision, and the big one is it's expected to rise by 25 basis points from 0.5 to 0.75. You can see here on the charts the Canadian had been weakening and then turned up strongly. That's a nice strong position in the charts, was coming up here for strength in anticipation of this interest rate rise. Okay, the rest of the tier 1 data is quite low this week. The main item out of the pound is on Wednesday. This is the average earning index, which we are looking for inflation in our wages. You can see here it's expected to be lower than the previous month. This will bring further weakness into the currency. Otherwise, it's US dollar news, and the big one here is Fed Chairman is testifying on Wednesday and Thursday throughout the day, and then on Friday we have the core CPI, core retail sales. On the tier 2 data releases, do watch out for a lot of speakers this week, especially on Tuesday. Okay, looking forward to this week. We can see here the pound's turned downward, so we're going to now be looking for pound weakness. We will be waiting on the Canadian interest rate decision on Wednesday to see how that goes, and also we'll be waiting to see if the euro does turn back up now on the horizontal here to see if that will come back to strength. With the yen at the bottom down here, we'll be looking for this to turn up and come into some strength now, and the US dollar has turned up quite strongly. The caveat with the US dollar is that if you see the US dollar line here, we're not swinging from the extremes as we were back here in March and February, and so we may yet see real strength coming into this currency pair. We'll also be looking out for Aussie weakness here, and again this transition in the New Zealand dollar if it turns up. Okay, so for the rest of this video I just want to concentrate and look at what happens in a turn of the market, because we're in that transition period for all of these currency pairs. Okay, what I'd like to do is look back at the yen chart here from the 11th of May to see how the charts look as we come from weakness and come back into some strength. Okay, so let's look at the 240-minute yen charts here, and I've highlighted the 11th of May on the chart. You'll notice that the yen does come into strength against all of these 6 currency pairs, but it does take some time in some cases, and it doesn't always turn at the exact point from the 1-day chart. If you can look here on the Euro Japan, this is the point at which we were turning, but yet we made from the previous high a further high before we had some yen strength down here. Conversely, for the Canadian and the New Zealand, we turned at that exact point. You can see here on the Aussie, we went through this transition period where the price was making highs and lows. The dots were going through the middle of the bars, and the price was pretty horizontal until we got some momentum into the trend and the yen strengthened. You can see on the US dollar we had a very nice trade set up here with the high, the low, the retracement, and then the trend run. And also on the pound, the high, the low, the retracement, and the trend run. Okay, so looking at the yen pairs on the 4-hour charts from today, you can see here the fat man is indicating that this yen will now turn over and weaken in the charts. Now the 2 currency pairs that I'm looking at to start with is the pound yen here, because we've made a previous high and a lower high here, and also on the Aussie yen. Now what we will be looking for over the next week is if these levels hold, and then for our trade setups to come into play to trade yen weakness. Now with the US dollar also strengthening, we could expect this to go up. We can expect the Canadian also possibly to strengthen on the back of the interest rate decision. The euro, we're still looking for direction to see if this will continue to strengthen. And the New Zealand may also still strengthen above the yen. So what we're doing in the case of these other four currencies is to start monitoring these trades and looking for the high in the charts, which will indicate the turning point. Okay, I hope today's video has helped to understand what we look for in the chart when a currency pair is turning, and I wish you all the best for your trading this week.